right. Hello, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. Let me see here. Give me just a second. Share this right. Yes. And just doing a bit of housekeeping work right now. Give me just a second. Um, I'm missing a button here, which I don't see, but that's all right. We're going to keep moving. All right. So today, what I want to do is talk about my new book, answer some questions. You should have seen it in the advertisement, but my book's entitled What to Do When My Spouse Wants a Divorce. And so you can find this book on Amazon. Now you can see it. You can find it on Amazon. It is there. I think it's also listed in, um, you can get it in hardcover or soft cover, but you can also get it through the subscription service through Amazon as well. So it is there. All right, let's see here. Give me just a second. All right, so today I'm just going to talk about several things that I have written in the book that I think may be helpful for folks. If you are wanting to ask a question, if you have something you'd like to say, please just chime in, send me a comment, and I will make sure I cover that for you. But one of the things I wanted to talk to you about is we're going to start off with emotional roller coaster. Well, today we're going to talk about emotional roller coaster and the reasons behind divorce. Those are the two things that we're going to talk about today. So let's see here. Anyone looking? Let's see. All right. So, emotional roller coaster. So, in this book, what I try to do is lay out some of the things that you would need to know or do as it relates to um, making a decision on whether or not you want to divorce or stay together. Um, Before I continue, I do want to let everyone know that the things that we talk about does not constitute a therapeutic relationship between you and I. This is just for entertainment purposes only. So if you do have questions, you have something you'd like to say, please chime in and say it. So, first thing is emotional roller coasters. Um, Oftentimes, when we get divorced, we talk about or we think about things, a lot of things. You know, our brain may tell us to get excited, not get excited, be angry, be upset. All kinds of things come into our mind. So, what I'm asking you to do is just kind of pay attention to a couple things. There may be periods in which you've experienced shock or denial or anger or sadness. These things may come up for you. And when they do come up for you, there's some things you can do about it. And understandably, if someone tells you, you know, I don't want to be in this marriage anymore, I think I want to get a divorce, yeah, you should be upset. You should be pissed. It should bother you quite a bit. But at the same time, um, these are your emotions. So you got to figure out, well, what can I do about it? What is it that I want to do with these emotions as they occur? So when these emotions do occur, you got a couple of options. When you experience periods of shock or denial, you just experience those periods. You don't get angry or upset or try to prevent it from happening. Let it happen. Let it go on. Let these emotions, these feelings come up for you. Allow them to continue to do what they do. That's what we have feelings for. That's what we have emotions to experience whatever it is we're experiencing. We may not like it in the moment, but that's okay. We don't have to like it in the moment. There's something we can experience and then we can keep it moving. All right. There's other emotional things like denial, anger, sadness. These are all other things that folks will experience when they are dealing with um, being on that emotional roller coaster. When someone tells you they don't want to be in this relationship anymore, it sucks, doesn't feel good. And so you will feel periods of denial and anger and sadness. And when you, like I said, when you feel them, just allow them to occur. Don't stop them. That's the worst thing you can do, is put a stop to them. The best thing you can do is allow these feelings to occur. Again, if you have questions, if you'd like to make a comment, just put something in the chat and I will make sure I get to it. All right. Let's see here. Divorce is never easy. It's something that, we often really don't want to deal with, because we get married for the idea that we're going to be together with that individual for the rest of our life. We don't think we're going to get married and not be there. We don't think that we're going to get married and all of a sudden we're not in a relationship anymore. We don't want the relationship. We don't operate in that way. What we normally do is we get married and we decide, this is the person I want to be with for the rest of my life. I don't want to change. I don't want to get married again. I don't want to do in this over again at all. I've selected you to be my person. And I want you to continue to be my person till the day we die, the day we depart this earth. And so when you get married, you don't do it for the purpose of divorce. You do it for the purpose of being with this person for the rest of your life. However, sometimes things happen. And you may find yourself in a position where that individual that you were with, they've fallen out of love with you, don't want to be with you anymore, decided they don't even want to be in this relationship for whatever reason. So you have a decision to make, whether or not you're going to stay in this relationship or you're going to move on. It's up to you. Well, that's a decision that you'd have to make for yourself. Okay. So once you are presented with this information, once someone say to you, I don't know if I want to be in this relationship anymore. I don't know if I want to be married anymore. One of the things I want you to do, or you could do rather, is sort of gather all your emotions, whatever they may be, and allow yourself to experience them in whatever order it is. Don't push them away. Don't decide that these are the things that you just don't or can't deal with. I want you to deal with them. I want you to experience them. I want you to be okay with them. When these emotions happen, I want you to embrace them. Now, don't embrace them with the other individual. So if you're pissed off, if you're mad, you're angry, don't embrace these emotions with the other individual that you're in a relationship with. Do not do that. What I want you to do is embrace these emotions on your own. I want you to experience them as they happen. I want you to be okay with them. Don't feel threatened by them. Don't feel like they shouldn't exist or they're causing the issue for you. These are the things I want you to think about. These are the things I want you to do. All right. There are some other things that happen when you're in a situation where you're looking at your spouse or the significant other, and they're telling you, hey, I don't want to be in this relationship anymore. Likewise, the individual may say to you, I don't like this relationship, don't want to be in it anymore. I want out. Well, the best thing you can do is give them their wish, and that is release them. The worst thing you can do is try not to release them and hold on to them. Usually, if a person got to the point where they are able to voice, I want out of this marriage, I want out of this relationship, they've already decided, and they've been thinking about it for a long time. So there's no need for you to try to convince that person otherwise. They have to convince themselves otherwise. They have to be open enough and willing enough to want to see and do something different, either to keep the relationship or not. In this book, I do talk quite a bit about the two decisions you have. You can decide to keep the relationship, or you can decide not to keep the relationship. That's up to you. You have to make that decision. Once you've made that decision, in the book, we talk a lot about what you can do then. So if you decide you want to stay in this relationship, you want to stay in this marriage, in the book, it talks about what you can do if you decide, hey, I don't want to get a divorce. There's some things I want to do differently. In addition to that, if the decision is made that maybe the two of you should not be together, you should get a divorce, there's some things there as well on things that you should be thinking about, things you should be doing. So I want you to keep that in mind. Do you have a comment? Do you have a question? Please put it in the chat. I will answer it for you. Again, my name is Dr. Ashton Morgan. I'm a licensed clinical marriage and family therapist. Our conversation today does not constitute a therapeutic relationship, but this is just for entertainment purposes only. But if you do have a question or comment, I will answer it for you. No problems. All right. So, in addition to someone telling you they want a divorce, there are some reasons behind a divorce. Sometimes it's communication breakdown. Sometimes it's financial issues. Sometimes it's infidelity. So there are a whole host of things or reasons why someone would find themselves in a situation in which they want a divorce. Sometimes it's all three. There are situations in which you try to figure out, well, what can I do differently? How can I, manage money better? How can I be in a position in which I'm communicating better with my spouse? Sometimes you even go see a therapist to see if that helps. Sometimes it does. Sometimes you may interact with your church, interact with other family members to get the help that you need so that you can continue to be in this relationship. Think about it this way. If you're in a relationship, whether you're married or not, you're always going to experience issues. It's always going to be something that comes up. That's because you're both learning each other. You're learning how to be in a relationship with each other. You're learning how to love each other. You're learning how to interact, how to communicate. So you're going to have bumps in the road. And that's okay. It's, when you're in a relationship, it's not meant for you to be there and everything is going to be perfect, because it's not always perfect. But when you find yourself in a situation in which these things are coming up and they feel rough, they feel, you get yourself in a situation where you don't want to be there because they're uncomfortable for you. The only thing I can say to you is this: that's life. That's a relationship. That means you're in a real relationship, because it's not getting into the relationship. It's maintaining the relationship that requires a lot of work. It's you being in love one moment and then being out of love another moment. You may still have love for the individual, but that in love part may change. So you have to make a decision on what's best for you. Do I do the work to stay in this relationship, or do I choose to let this relationship go because I just don't want to do the work? I'm tired. I'm exhausted. This person's worn me out. There's always issues, and I'm tired of dealing with them. Sometimes we get married or we get in a relationship and the person presents one way, and then we find out later that something else is really going on with them. Or we believe that the person presented something to us, a sales pitch that they're not able to fulfill. Don't forget, as we get older, we change. Our thoughts change. What we need change. Who we are change. And so I want you to keep in mind that the person you were when you got together may not necessarily be the person you are right now. You could be different. You could think different. You're going to be interacting differently. So keep that in mind. This book's about 80 something pages. I think it's about maybe 8 or 9 sections in it. We're going to go over each section. I'm going to do them once a week. So this is the first section. The first section is a section that I will call a section in which knowing. Now you know, because a person has shared with you they don't want to be in this relationship anymore. So what do you do? How do you deal with and sit with your own thoughts? How do you sit with the way you feel? These are things that you'll experience. And I want you to know they're normal. They're not abnormal. People deal with them in all kinds of ways. And that's okay. Some of the questions I would get are questions around, how do you know what to do? You don't. Not unless you sit with it. Not unless you sit and think about it. Not unless you sit and make some decisions based off of rational thinking. With all that's going on in the world today, with people not knowing if they're having jobs or not, with finances being a major issue, not being able to meet your basic needs, having to decide whether or not you're going to buy groceries or pay for health care or pay for schooling for your children. It's tough. That creates stress. And that stress will wear on any relationship. But remember, that's the best part and the hardest part about being in a relationship. So you don't have to do it alone. The hardest part is now you have to learn that other individual. Now you have to learn how to be in a relationship with them, even when you're dealing with this stuff that's uncomfortable. What do you do? How do you prevent it? And sometimes you may find yourself in a situation where someone's saying to you, I'm done with this relationship. You're going to think about some things. Someone tells you they don't want this relationship. The first thing you may think about is, I'm going to think about all the good times that we had. Were they real? Were they fake? When you said you love me, did you mean it? Did you not mean it? When you said that you wanted to do this with me for the rest of my life, when we're standing at the altar, when we're standing in the courtroom, did you mean it? When you were with me and you decided you want to be with me for the rest of your life, were you saying to yourself that you're going to be here while it's feeling good, while it's comfortable? Or were you saying to yourself, I'm going to be here as long as I can, as long as I'm okay? But when things get tough, when things get uncomfortable, I'm leaving. These are things that you're going to think about immediately when someone tells you they don't want to be in this relationship anymore. They want a divorce, particularly if you weren't even thinking that. Oftentimes I find that this happens. We'll have the one person in the relationship, typically female in the relationship, the woman who has already thought about divorce and already gotten there and went through all the emotions. And now they are comfortable with their decision. And they may go to their husband and say, hey, I'm done with this relationship. I want a divorce. And then the husband is blindsided. Or vice versa. I've had to go the other way. Well, the wife is blindsided because the husband decides he doesn't want to be in a relationship anymore. And so while that one partner has already gone through all of those emotions and had all of those thoughts, the other person had not had them. And so now it's quick and it rushes all to them all at one time. How could this person do this to me? Why did they do this to me? All kinds of things. It actually pisses them off because they're thinking, hey, we decided we're going to do life together. And what you decided to do was not do life with me. What's that all about? Sometimes it's necessary because you have an individual that you're in relationship with, and this individual change who they are. Maybe they presented themselves initially as an individual that's upstanding, that is honest, that works every day, that is caring, can be a leader, or really pour into their family. And then one day you find out that's not the individual you thought you married. Maybe they are running around doing other things. Maybe they decided that being in multiple relationships was something they want to do, but they didn't tell you about it. You had to find out accidentally. Maybe this is a type of individual who, for whatever reason, enjoyed drinking a lot. So now they find themselves being an alcoholic, and you're in a marriage. So you had to decide whether or not this is something you want to do. Maybe this is an individual who has decided, besides, alcohol or going around getting a relationship, that, for whatever reason, they decided, that drug is more important than their family. That's hard to deal with. And sometimes you have to make a decision whether or not this relationship is for you or not. I honestly believe that we're not in a relationship just to be in it. I believe we are to be in a relationship, and it should bring us joy. It should bring us happiness. And if it doesn't, why are you in it? You can be unhappy by yourself. You can do life on your own and be extremely unhappy. But if you find yourself that way, make a decision. Either you're going to be in it or you're not going to be in it. If you have any questions, let me know. I will answer them as we go along here. I'm just going to continue to talk about things that are in chapter number 1 of this book. Again, the book can be found on Amazon, and it is in the subscription service there. If you have that, What to Do When My Spouse Wants a Divorce is the title of the book. If you have any questions, please ask them in the chat, and I will certainly answer them for you. Again, this presentation does not constitute a therapeutic relationship. This is for entertainment purposes only. So if you have questions, you want to ask something, please just do so. In addition to that, please share this live. If you have any other friends or know of anyone that could benefit from hearing about this, share with it. All right. So, in this same chapter, what we talk about is what happens when you are confronted with this information. And sometimes you're confronted with this information, and you may get, you may feel like this is raw. You may feel like you've been fooled or bamboozled, because now you're forced all of a sudden to think about a whole bunch of things that you wouldn't normally think about. Sometimes you may even think, hey, is this real or is this fake? Is this just happening to me? Or are the people that actually, this person in front of me is telling me that they don't want to be in this relationship anymore, they want a divorce? Are they playing with me? Are they playing in my face? Or they're being direct and this is actually the way they feel? And if it is, heck, why didn't they tell me this years ago or a long time ago? They could have. Because see, I could have chosen to do life either by myself or with someone else. They took that decision away from me. They could have let me in on the secret too. It didn't have to be something where it was just quiet and I didn't know anything about it. Initially, in most relationships, you find yourself spending time together, sharing secrets, getting to know the other individual, knowing their likes, dislikes, knowing the way they feel. They're knowing a lot more about them than anyone else. And then all of a sudden, they share this news with you. And that can be daunting. That can piss you off sometimes. And if you have any questions, just put them in the chat and I will answer them for you. That can make you very, very angry. You're in this relationship with an individual and then they decide, I don't want it no more. Now they send you on this emotional roller coaster. Heck, you're probably already dealing with emotional roller coaster at work with your extended family members. That's an emotional roller coaster. And so when you're home, you expect that to be a safe place. You expect that to be a place in which you can be who you are. You can express yourself. You can feel safe. And you're finding that you can't do that anymore. So not only do you have to wear this heavy armor at work or heavy armor around your friends or people in the community, you also have to do it at home. A place in which you should be able to be who you are. Be comfortable, be relaxed, but you're finding that you can't do that. It's part of being blindsided. Well, you didn't expect this to happen, but it did. Now, we'll say this. There are some signs that we often overlook that tells us that this is happening. That when we were together and everything was good, that everything was good until it wasn't. So there's often signs that are out there, often things that people will see that we overlook. And one of the things is this simple things. Maybe you shared a meal every day. Then all of a sudden you didn't. Maybe your partner used to bring you little things every now and then as a way of showing you that he or she loves you. Maybe they know your favorite candy bar is a whatchamacallit. And that's the name of the candy bar. So those that don't know, it's probably from the 80s. But that's your candy bar. And so you liked it. And so that person gave you that whatchamacallit every now and then to let you know they're thinking about you. Then they stopped doing anything at all. They would go to the store, they would go about their business, and they forget about you. Maybe the individual was quick to plan the vacation, the next vacation, the next thing you two are going to do or experience together. But instead of doing that, you notice they started planning vacations for themselves, by themselves. These are all signs that we sometimes overlook, that we don't pay attention to. These are signs that tell us, hey, something's not right. We struggle with that. That's mainly because you're going about your life. You're doing a lot of things. You're working. You're raising your children. You're dealing with folks. So you don't necessarily have a lot of time to sit and pay attention to these small things that used to be done, and all of a sudden they're not being done anymore. Maybe you spent most of your time together. That was a normal thing. There were specific shows you used to watch together. One didn't watch them without the other. Maybe there were times in which there were things you would do together. Like, I don't know, maybe roller skating was your thing. And so you never went without your partner. You always went and did that together. And now you're finding that you can't. You go, but the other individual is not going with you. And you're wondering why. They always have an excuse. Can't go, don't want to go, not interested. Those are signs. Maybe you realize, and sometimes you do, you'll realize some of these moments you used to have are dwindling down. They're not as prevalent. They don't happen as much anymore. And you're wondering why. What happened? Maybe you two used to be passionate the way you feel about each other, the way you made love. Maybe there was a passionate thing, but all of a sudden it just went away. It happened few and far between. You got to beg for it. You got to ask the person repeatedly for it. And there's always an excuse as to why they don't want to connect with you in that way. Maybe those conversations that you once had start dwindling down, and it became more about when you did talk, it was about arguing, about who did what, when, where, how, why. Maybe that's what it became. These are all signs that we tend to lose sight of, that we don't pay attention to. And when they happen, we're confused because we're thinking, hey, I didn't see this coming. Oh, you saw it coming. You saw it coming, but you just didn't see it coming. Some of the feelings that we'll feel: shocked and denial. So initially, you're going to be shocked if you weren't prepared for this, if it just happened. You may even deny that it is happening. Like, they said they wanted to divorce. I don't know what's going on with them. But if their behavior hasn't changed, then probably that's what they want. That's what they're asking for. You're going to feel angry. You're going to look at this individual in front of you like, I can't look at you no more. I don't even want to be around you. And if you don't want to be here, don't be here. You're going to feel periods of sadness and grief. And that's very common. You just think about it. The relationship you had is changing into something different. And with any change or any loss of life, that's what happens. That's how we feel. You may feel periods of fear and anxiety. Okay, what's going to happen with the future? Okay, we were together. Finances were together. Decisions were made together. Now I may have to do these all on my own. I have to make my own financial decisions. And what's the social implication for that? You're going to feel that increase in anxiety and fear because of this. Heck, if you weren't used, you didn't have to worry about the mortgage. You didn't have to worry about anything. You didn't even pay it. All you knew was being paid every month. And someone tells you they don't want to be with you. Now you have to worry about doing all these things on your own. That's their fear. That's their anxiety of, okay, I don't even know who we pay for the mortgage. I don't even know how we're paying it. Does it come out the bank account? Do I have to go to a website? Do I have to send a check? All these things are coming up for you now because now you have to start thinking about them. And you have to start trying to figure out what's going on. That could be a period of confusion or uncertainty because of it. Because, I have to make all these decisions now. This person said they don't want to be with me. So now, as I didn't know how to make these decisions because I never had to do it. But then something happens over time when someone tells you that. You begin to accept. Okay, this is what they want. This is who they are. But again, it's over time. It's not going to be instant. It may bother you for a while, a long while. But that will be part of your process of finding ways of coping, finding your ways of moving forward. Again, there's a couple things that happen that would necessitate an individual saying they don't want to be with you. They don't want to be in a relationship anymore. We talked about one, communication breakdown. frequent misunderstandings, opportunities in which you may say something, the other person may take it in an incorrect way. That may shock you because you're like, they never did that before. When I say these words or when I say it in this order, what I mean, because that's how we've always interacted with each other. Small conflicts become really major issues. You may have a conflict about, I don't know, what are you going to eat for dinner? How to cook something? What to say to your children, be it adults or small children? And it blows up, becomes this real big major issue. And you're not used to that. You're wondering, why is this person acting this way? Why are we having these big communication issues? We shouldn't be. We've always been able to resolve things. We've always been able to work through things, but all of a sudden, we're not able to do that. Infidelity is a big one. Oftentimes, infidelity is a result I'm going to tell you what is a result from. I'll give you two answers. Oftentimes, as a result of an individual not getting what they need from their current situation. Maybe their spouse and them used to be able to connect in an emotional way, and then all of a sudden they're not connecting emotionally anymore. And over a period of time, the individuals decided, hey, I don't want this. I can find a connection, emotional connection somewhere else. So I'm going to look outside of this relationship. That's oftentimes what people think. That's what it is. And sometimes that's what it is. But I'm also of the mind that sometimes, and it may be a small portion of this, people are out there doing infidelity because that's what they want. They're interested in something that they don't have. They want more. They want something different. But instead of telling the person they're with, they choose to go out and do these things and still be in manage whatever relationship they have with the person that they're with. This is their decision. That happens more often than not. Financial issues could be a problem, particularly when you're used to having or anticipate having two incomes in the home, and one or both of you aren't able to manage that. There's an income and then there's not an income. Or maybe the other person has never held at the end of the bargain of having income at all. And you find yourself the only one that's able to provide financial wise. And that can wear on you. The other thing that can happen is incompatibility. And so incompatibility is this. That's when you get in a relationship and it feels good, it's comfortable initially, but then it morphs into something else. Where you're thinking, hey, we agreed on certain things. We enjoyed each other, but now we don't. Why? Your goals, your values are different. You believe this, at least I thought you believed this, and I believe this, but now I'm finding out we don't believe the same thing. Why? Someone put it to me this way. When I had a couple I was working with, they said, I think it was the wife who was from the South and the husband was from the North. And when I say North, I mean above the Mason-Dixon line, and south below that. And so being from the South, she was taught that you never, ever, 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 ever talk out of turn to your parents. You don't talk back. You don't ask questions. You don't do any of those things. You're being very respectful to your parents to the day you die. Whereas the husband from the North was taught you ask questions. If you disagree, you let the person know you disagree, even if they're your parents. So from the wife's point of view, she was like, well, you didn't present this when I first met you. Now I'm finding out this is a normal thing for you. I can't get with that. That's uncomfortable for me. Those are the kinds of things that will happen in a relationship that may cause the other individual to say, hey, I want a divorce. Lack of intimacy is another one. When you don't talk about intimacy, when you don't make decisions around intimacy, in terms of frequency, when you don't teach the other person how you want to be intimate with them, what you want from them, what you need from them, it creates an issue. People will give you what they think you want, as opposed to you getting what you want, because you're not telling them, this is what I need. You must do so. That's hard in relationships in which one person was taught to never talk about sex. They were taught to never have those conversations about intimacy at all. So they don't. What the other person made was, they're free with it. They can have conversations. So that may be an issue whereby one is open to teaching and explaining and the other one is not. So that sometimes leads to issues in the marriage in which one partner may say, I don't want to be in it anymore. Abuse is another thing. And that happens. Abuse happens in which an individual is not able to regulate themselves emotionally. So what happens is whatever you see come up and out, it's just their emotion. Angry, pissed off, sad, mad, whatever it may be. And unfortunately, sometimes they do it with their hands. It's what they use as a way of communicating. If you find yourself in that situation, you must be safe. If that person is, someone's doing that to you and you're finding that's a frequent thing, don't stay in that type of relationship. You may want to exit because that won't get any better. You have to protect yourself. Abuse is another one. It's not just physical abuse that's a major issue. You may have emotional abuse, where a person has learned to get you to feel the way they want you to feel in that moment. They're used to getting you to either be happy, sad, mad. So they begin to manipulate you in the moment. And they do it over time. And that's a form of abuse. And you may decide, I don't want this anymore. So you have the decision to make. Either you're going to be in it or you're not. I personally believe that that's worse than the physical abuse. Because that mental abuse, once you're in it, it's hard to get out of it. Physical, you can get up and leave. You can move. You can move your body. Emotional abuse, when you're experiencing that from your partner, it's hard for you to get out of that. And then the last thing is addictions. Addictions are huge. Addictions are all kinds of things. Could be to food, could be to alcohol, drugs, you name it. So people are finding themselves in the relationship. Initially, it was fine. Then their partner decided they want to partake. And now they find themselves with a partner that has an addiction. Now, some things that I've heard around addictions in couples is that this is the one that takes the cake for me. The couple who struggled and a couple that struggled with communication. They've been married for years, maybe over 20 years. And so they're about in their 50s. Straight-laced, didn't do anything, don't drink much, don't do anything. Never had marijuana or nothing. Until one day, one of the partners decided they were going to hang out with some friends. And these friends were doing drugs and they decided they wanted to partake. And unfortunately, that individual instantly got hooked on crack. Never did a drug before, but did it that time. And why would he choose crack? I don't know. And that was a downfall of the relationship quickly. These are some things you have to think about. Just consider. When someone tells you they want a divorce, these are all the things that need to come to your mind. Is it because of this? Why are they asking me this? Why are they saying they want this? What's really going on? You'll do that. You'll go through your range of emotions. You'll be angry. You'll be sad. You'll be pissed off one moment. You'll be upset that the person changed on you. You married this individual. Now they morphed into something else. That will make you mad. You may not be interested in having a relationship with them anymore because of that. So those that, I'm hoping that you get my book and take a look at it. But in the first chapter, that's what it talks about. Knowing. Now you know. The person told you they want a divorce. So because you know, all these things are going to come to your mind. You're going to be thinking about all these things. You're going to wonder why. You're going to wonder how. I have several chapters that I'm going to go through. Probably going to do this once a week. But as I go through these chapters, if you have questions or concerns, please reach out to me. If you want to know where to get the book, you can get it at Amazon. And I believe it's in the subscription service there. So if you'd like to get it and read it on, I think it's Kindle Unlimited, you can certainly do that. I want this to be available to folks who actually need this information, who don't necessarily know what to do. Any questions thus far? I say I have some folks here. Actually, I have quite a bit of folks here. So if you have any questions, please just put them in the chat. If you haven't already done so, make sure you like and subscribe. And as we go along, I will answer any questions that you have. And again, this is not a therapeutic relationship. This is for entertainment purposes only. And so I'm here to answer whatever you may have. I'm going to put the link out for folks so you know how to access the book on Amazon. If you're interested in purchasing it or looking at it through Amazon Prime. Made it in those two formats because I really want people to access this. I don't want there to be any barriers at all for folks accessing this book. And so those who are here, you should see it now. Okay. All right, we got about less than a minute left. So if you have any questions, let me know. If not, I will see you guys next week. Will we have further discussion? And next week, we're going to go over the next section, and it is time to decide. So this first section, we talked about what you're going to think about and feel when someone tells you they want a divorce. The next section that we're going to go over next week is going to talk about what you can do in terms of your decision making, whether you're going to be in this marriage or you're not, and how to make that decision for yourself, how to make the best decision for you. That's what we're going to talk about next week. So I appreciate everyone being here, and I will see you guys soon.